Remember when we were talking about AI agents being way off in the future? Well, today's deep dive is going to be interesting because OpenAI CEO now says those agents might be arriving a lot sooner than anyone expected.
That is interesting.
Yeah, we've got a ton to get to today. From Apple taking a gamble on AI for their new iPhone to Google using AI to literally build future cities.
Sounds like a lot to unpack.
It is, and we'll top it all off by looking at how LinkedIn is using your data for AI training again.
It really makes you think about where AI is heading and just how fast things are moving. All these stories, they're all connected.
Let's jump right into it with Sam Altman, the OpenAI CEO. Yesterday at the T-Mobile Capital Markets Day, he basically said to buckle up because the jump from AI as we know it now to truly independent, agent-like AI is going to be fast.
That was quite a statement from him, especially since it took so long to even get from GPT-4 to O1.
Yeah.
But Altman, he seems to be expecting a huge leap forward, and he's putting a time frame on it that's making everyone pay attention.
He's basing his prediction on his 5 levels of AI. Remember, we've talked about those before, right?
Right. Altman's 5 levels, they're a good way to think about not just how AI is getting better, but also how fast those improvements are happening.
Yeah.
Take O1, for example.
Okay.
That's at level 2, what he calls reasoners, able to handle complex tasks. Things like writing different creative texts or solving logic puzzles.
Which is already kind of blowing my mind, to be honest.
Totally. But level 3, that's where things get really wild. That's when we get agents, AIs that can reason, but can also act on their own to reach their goals. So not just writing your email for you, this AI could send it at just the right time, manage your inbox, maybe even negotiate deadlines for you.
And Altman is saying we might see that leap from reasoners to agents much faster than any other AI advancement we've seen.
Yeah.
That's a little, I don't know, unsettling to think about.
It definitely brings up some important questions. He's pointing at how AI development is iterative, meaning the more these models learn, the faster they can process information and learn even more.
Interesting.
But going that fast also makes the potential consequences even more important.
Okay, let's talk about those consequences for a sec, because I think this is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
What would a world run by AI agents even look like?
Well, it's a question science fiction's been asking for years, but now it's a question we really need to be ready for, especially with what Apple is doing with their latest iPhone.
Speaking of Apple, they're really going all in on AI with this new iPhone 16.
They are.
Calling it Apple Intelligence,
Yeah.
which seems like a big deal. Apple usually likes to keep things simple, you know?
It's a big statement from them, for sure. And I think it shows just how important they think AI is going to be for them in the future, especially with how competitive things are becoming.
Totally. Because Samsung and Google, they've already got AI features on their phones, so Apple's kind of playing catch up here.
Right.
But it seems like they're hoping people will think their AI is better, the best. They've even added this glowing light that spins around the screen while Siri is working, like it's thinking or something.
It's definitely a choice, but financially at least, it seems like it's working.
Really?
Their stock has gone up by $500 billion since they first talked about this new AI strategy back in June.
Wow. $500 billion. That's wild. So they're basically betting that people will want the newest AI, even if it means getting a new phone all the time.
Yeah.
But, I mean, isn't there a downside to that? What about people who can't afford to get a new phone every year?
Exactly. Limiting these big AI features to just the newest iPhones makes you wonder about who gets left out.
Right. Are we headed towards a world where only the people with the most money get access to the best AI tools?
It's something to think about, for sure. And it's not just about who has the technology. It's about how that technology gets used and who benefits in the end. Which brings us to Google and their ambitious new AI project.
Okay, let's hear about this.
Google has created an AI that can track how cities grow, and I mean in serious detail, using machine learning and pictures from satellites. They call it the Open Buildings 2.5D Temporal Data Set.
Okay, I gotta ask, what does that even mean? Open Buildings 2.5D Temporal Data Set. Sounds like something out of Star Trek.
Basically, it's like a map of cities that's alive and constantly updating. You can see new buildings being built. You can see changes to buildings that are already there. You can even figure out how tall buildings are just by looking at pictures from space.
So Google has an AI that can look at a satellite photo and be like, hold on, that skyscraper wasn't there yesterday.
Pretty much.
That's incredible and a little creepy if you think about how much detail it's seeing.
It is amazing. And it's not just about tracking growth for the sake of it. All this data could completely change how we plan cities.
How so?
Well, imagine being able to predict what a city will need based on how fast it's growing, or seeing which areas might be getting too crowded.
So instead of just reacting to urban sprawl, we could actually use this AI to design cities that are better, greener, more livable from the very beginning. We're talking about actually fixing some of the biggest problems our cities are facing.
Exactly. And it's not just planning for growth. This tech could also be a game changer if there's a natural disaster or another emergency.
Oh, wow, I didn't even think about that.
Right. Think about being able to see exactly where the damage is after an earthquake, or find people who might be trapped and get help to the people who need it most right away.
Now, that's what I call putting AI to good use. But as great as all this sounds, I can't help but wonder about the downsides, too. This is giving Google a ton of information about our world. What about our privacy?
It's a good point, and it's something Google says they're thinking about too. In their blog post about the project, they say they're taking steps to protect privacy, like using anonymous data.
Okay, that's good to hear.
But the more advanced this technology gets, the more we need to be asking these tough questions about who can see this data, how secure it is, and if it could be used in ways we haven't even thought of yet.
It's like a constant reminder that even though these AI advancements are amazing, they don't come without risks.
Yeah.
And it seems like every time we turn around, there's another story about a tech company pushing the boundaries with data privacy,
Hmm.
which actually brings us to our final story today, LinkedIn and their not so transparent approach to AI training. It's like, we want all the cool AI stuff, but we also don't want to give up our privacy. Finding that middle ground is tricky.
It really is. And it's something we need to be talking about more as a society, not just data privacy either. With every AI breakthrough, there are even bigger ethical questions that come up.
Like, what happens to jobs when AI can basically do anything?
Right. And how do we prepare for a world where some jobs just disappear, while others, ones we haven't even imagined yet, start popping up?
Yeah, it's a lot. And there aren't easy answers.
There really aren't. But we can't just ignore them either. We need to be careful, think critically as we're going down this AI road.
It feels like we're entering this unknown world and we're writing the rules as we go. Honestly, it's a little overwhelming sometimes.
True, but it's also incredibly exciting.
Yeah.
Think of what we could do if we use AI in the right way, the problems we could solve, the progress we could make.
It really is about finding that balance, embracing what's possible, but not being naive about the risks. So as we wrap up today, I have to ask, what's your biggest takeaway from all this? What's the one thing you want our listeners to really think about?
Don't just sit back and watch this AI revolution happen. Be a part of it. Ask the hard questions. Don't let companies get away with being shady about how they're developing these technologies. The future of AI, it's not something that just happens to us. It's something we all have a say in creating.
Absolutely. So, to everyone listening, stay curious, keep an open mind, and never stop asking those important questions. And if today left you with more questions than answers, that's a good thing. It means you're really thinking about all this. We'll be back next time with another deep dive into the world of AI.